Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is Paddock Live. We're back. Babes.
First time in a week.
I've been heartbroken. Honestly. I've been beside myself.
I know what you've been up to.
Not much.
We've got loads to talk about today. It's been a week's worth of information since I've been gone.
You timed it right, by the way. It's good job you're back today. Because you can't be having today off.
No.
Because it's all happening.
Wednesday night. Well, there's loads of things going on. So we're going to get into some transfer stuff. We'll be getting into all of that. But also, Jay, something big has happened. At 9 o'clock tonight, the deadline has passed. Hit it, yes! Look at that! Look at that on this. How long's that stay up for? Bloody hell. Just slightly too long there. The deadline has passed. Hit it again! Now!
Yes! We've got graphics and everything.
Wait, what deadline's passed?
The deadline for the latest bids for Manchester United Football Club.
That's the one.
That is the one. So we're going to get into all that a little bit later. Don't worry. We're talking
Who's got it then?
We'll be talking about your Ratcliffes, your Jassims,
your 6 other, anonymous
potential bidders, your
bidmeisters.
Elliott management groups.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about all that. Don't you worry. We'll be getting that covered. So do get involved in the comments and the chat, and make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
So yes,
Have I got a tan, by the way? Have you detected anything?
Where is it you've been? Wales?
Marrakesh.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, South Wales.
Very south of Wales, yeah.
Yeah, you are glowing a little bit.
Piss off. That's nothing, that is it.
I'm sorry.
I've been sunbathing for this.
Do you tan?
Absolutely not. I just go a slightly more yellow, like a greeny yellow colour. I never get that. I go red. I don't burn particularly, but then the red just falls
You have
away.
got a little bit on your face now. You bring it to my
Thanks
attention.
very much, yeah.
You look less pale and ill than you usually
sallow
do.
than you used to. Right, come on then, let's get into it. None of my holiday nonsense. Let's start, shall we?
Start at the top.
Muani.
Tell me about this kid. He's any good or what?
He seems to be good. 16 goals, 14 assists so far this season for Frankfurt. He's one of those. France just have it right, don't they? France just do it properly.
What do you mean?
There are certain positions where they just have a consistent conveyor belt of world-class players.
Yeah.
And maybe slightly before my time that wasn't the case, but certainly since the 90s till now, if you want a defensive midfielder, there is no better place to go than France. Maybe Brazil, but France, you are guaranteed an absolute star. They've never failed to have top-class centre-backs, always some of the best centre-backs in the world. And obviously now we've got this kid as well, sort of attacker who is excellent. But they just have it. They've just always got top players knocking about. Where, do you know England will have these periods where you look through the squad and you're like, Scott Carson, like James Milner, like Alan Smith, and you think, France don't have that. They have down periods, but it's because everyone in the squad's fought each other, not because they ain't got good players.
Half of them just got the plane home from the middle of a tournament.
You know what? Forget it.
Yeah, I don't even want to play anyway. And you're like, hang on a minute, we've got a game tomorrow. We've only got 8 players available.
The squad have abducted the manager. But the players-wise, they've just got it going on. So anyway, we've got Muani, who is supposedly rumoured to be around £105 million, which to me is ridiculous. But he's told L'Equipe, we talk about it a lot already, but I try to be focused on my club. We continue our performances and we will see this summer. Afterwards, I always dreamed of playing in big clubs. I love that. We've talked about it a lot already. I try and be focused on my club. By the way, I always dreamed of playing for big clubs. The first half of it was so media trained, well done. And at the end he went, oh, fuck it, I want to leave. Give me
I
a big
always
club.
dreamed of playing in big clubs. Not like this shower of shite that I'm at now.
Yeah, that's named after a sausage.
Hey, get me out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, very good numbers.
Yep.
Obviously a young player as well. I don't know a lot about him. I'm not going to pretend I do.
Yep.
If we do get him, though, I'd be very surprised if we spent 105 million on just him.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I can't. Of the options available, there is no way we're spending that much on him. When you can spend a similar amount to get Osimhen or a similar amount to get Kane, why would you take the risk on the least experienced and the least proven of the three? To me, that makes no sense.
No.
And no offense to the Bundesliga, but how many times do we have to see a player getting double digits goals and assists come to the Premier League and get a quarter of that before we start asking questions? Do you know what I mean? Kevin De Bruyne is really the one outlier where you go, he was better in England than he was in Germany, but even then I think he got 30 assists for Wolfsburg one season.
Yeah.
So we've seen it with
he suffered a little bit by being dismissed by certain pundits when he came back to England.
Yeah.
They go, he didn't succeed at Chelsea, he must be rubbish.
Yeah.
Said that on Mo Salah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I agree. I'd be very surprised if we went for him.
Yep.
He's one of those players, if you got him, you don't go, oh my God, why have we got him?
No.
This is a disaster. But I think there's better options available and options that probably suit Manchester United better. Get involved in the comments in the chat and let us know what you think. Do you want to see the kid come to Manchester United, or do you think we should be going all out for someone like a Harry Kane or a Victor Osimhen? I'll go through some comments just before we move on. Dan United 94 says Joe's in absolute banter mode or mood. He's always like that. Shagger Kyle says such a shiny head, Jay.
Shagger what?
Shagger Kale, I think. James MUFC says Joe looks like Jesus. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
It's a new.
Actually, I heard it as much recently. I used to just get it from people on nights out who I didn't know.
Did you?
Yeah. Just it's often sort of middle-aged women like to remind me that I look like
Really?
Jesus. Yeah.
No. Have you got all like anything you say in response, like a standard reply that you just?
No, I should do, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you should think of something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know what you can say.
What?
You just say to him, "Fuck off."
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Witty. What's that? That's reference to that's.
Fuck off before I ram this pint pot in your face.
Yeah, that's. That's Matthew, isn't it? The book of Matthew. Is it where it says, yeah, and they went, Jesus.
Yeah. It's actually Genesis.
Genesis. First things first. Fuck off.
Josh Ev94 says, Jay, I see your beautiful face on ITV News before, brother. Hi, Sloppy Joe too. I like that. I like it when they do us both.
Yeah, me too.
Right, go on, move on to the next thing.
We're looking, actually, what I would consider some slanderous language, actually.
Oh, go on.
That we've heard. Now, Boovy, who is a wind-up merchant at best.
Yeah.
And an antagonistic no good at worst.
Yeah. Ne'er do well.
Exactly right. He's been speaking to Adam McCullough and the Last Fan Standing podcast, saying that Anthony is a flop. Right? I mean, we'll get into it in a minute. Watch this.
Booby, if he's not flop of the season, is he a flop though?
He's a flop, yeah, 1,000,000%. It used to be that kind of price tag.
More goals than Jack Grealish, by the way.
Yeah. Jack Grealish got a Premier League title. He's playing in the Champions League. Your boy's playing against Lech Poznan, doing Beyblade spins, 360 no scopes. It's embarrassing. Look, I don't care about the narrative. Adam, I don't care about the narrative because I think if he comes in for 20 million quid, he's obviously been part of Ten Hag's kind of system before. He's not been bad, of course not. My issue is the price tag does not justify the means because he hasn't been good enough. He's not strong enough for the Premier League. I remember a moment against Arsenal where he got completely outrun by, I think it was Gabriel or Partey. Completely hasn't got enough speed. I don't think he'll ever be a Premier League great. He might be a good component in a Ten Hag system who are fighting to come top 4 every season. That's fair enough. But for 80, 90, no 100 million quid, it's nowhere near good enough. But look, I can say the flop of the season. It's completely easy. It's Richarlison. 0 goals in the Premier League. Crying his eyes out when he gets substituted. He's the biggest melt in world football. He's got no quality. He's a Watford player. He's a Burnley player when they get promoted. He's an Everton. I can't believe he's made it to Spurs. But then that shows you Spurs' level.
The biggest mouth on YouTube, calling a footballer the biggest mouth in football's mouth.
That's like Brazil's number 9 you're talking about, right?
It's crazy. He's fooled everyone. He's the biggest. He's the biggest con merchant in world football. How has he got a professional contract? I don't know. His touch is shocking. He's got no natural ability. He's a clunky Brazilian donkey, and he's playing for Spurs. I love it.
I've got a radical proposition for you, Jay.
Go on, I love propositions, especially radical ones.
I think I've decided while I've been away that I'm going to be looking at transfers very differently from now on.
Go on, now you're going to be looking at them.
I'm going to make a statement and I'm going to back it up, okay?
Yeah.
The statement is this. Transfer fees should have no relevance whatsoever to whether a player is successful or not.
Okay.
Because, as you go toward the top, obviously I'm happy for someone to be called a bargain, or if you spend 8 million, I get it. But if you're buying a first team player who was bought in to play first team, the fee that you paid for them, in terms of how you review that signing, should be irrelevant. Yeah. Because all Anthony was brought in to do was to play on the right hand side for Manchester United and help us win games. I think he's done that. Yeah. And I think, like you said, we look at some of the goals. He scored more goals than Jack Grealish. He scored some big goals as well. He put us through against Barcelona. He scored against Arsenal. He's obviously, it didn't count for much in the end, but he scored against Manchester City. He's capable of scoring in these big games. He scored the other night to win us, or to really contribute in that game as well. Last week. And I just think that the fact that he cost 80 million, it says there, if he cost 20 million, then it's one thing. Part of me just thinks it doesn't matter how much he cost, because we've got another 200 million next summer that we have every year. United spend between 120 and 220 million quid, regardless of what we buy the year before. You always spend it. It's like a newspaper. Yeah. Every single day you go, wow, isn't it a coincidence that there's just enough stories to fill up this exact same amount of pages that we fill every day? No, you just spend it. So I just think that the fact that he costs a lot of money, or more than he's worth, all we wanted was that player. I think if he was 40 million, we wouldn't have ended up with Mbappe as well. Yeah. We bought in a player on the right wing to start when he's fit, and I think he's done that. I don't think he's been the best player in the United squad, but I don't think his fee should count against him for that. He's been brought in to do the job that I expected him to do, and he's done that.
I just think that the whole thing with Anthony is, and I think Booby's guilty of this all the time, is because all of Erik ten Hag's signings have been successful. Yeah, you can't. Like Christian Eriksen, I know he's been injured, but
it's fantastic what he's played.
Phenomenal. I think he had second most assists before he got injured in the Premier League. Martinez, just ridiculously good. Yeah. People went early on him, not tall enough and all that other drivel. He's been an absolute revelation. Casemiro, enough said. Yeah. Just absolutely smashing it, and a big reason why we've done well in the league and are still in all the cups as well. Tyrone Malacia, a snip at 40 million euros, looked really good. Mm-hmm. Played a lot of games for someone that cost next to nothing.
And someone that was brought in to be a backup.
Been a great backup. And he's helped Luke Shaw find his mojo. Sabitzer, come in again on loan, done a job. Even Weghorst, you go, he's not scoring goals. He's played almost every minute of every game.
And this is the crucial thing.
So there's
he's lost, one game as a United player?
So he's been a success in terms of what he's come in to do and what he's done. So rivals are looking at, how can I have a dig at Erik ten Hag's transfers? Yeah. And he's the only one with a question mark near him. So then they go big, he's been terrible, 100 million. I think Macca said he scored more goals than Jack Grealish. He's played a part. We need it.
That's what I mean.
Manchester United need Anthony. If we haven't got Anthony, we're in big trouble in certain games.
If we don't have Anthony, and not just because of the goal he scored in that game, but we wouldn't have won the League Cup, in the quarter-final of the FA Cup, in the semi-final, the semi-final of the FA Cup, the quarter-final of the Europa League, and in third in the league. No. We wouldn't. No. Because he's contributed more than any of our other wingers except Rashford this season, any of our other forwards than Rashford this season. So, yes, he's for 100 million you think, well, we want the best player in the world. But just take that out of it. We're buying a young 22-year-old winger from Ajax who only moved to Europe 2 years ago, 18 months ago, and he's contributed to the team that has won more games than anyone else in Europe this season. I don't think that's been a bad signing whatsoever.
I agree with you. Get involved in the chat and the comments, and get involved. Go over to Last Fan Standards, link in description. Big thanks to them for sponsoring this with Bet Victor. Say, you've come from Stretford Paddock, say Boovy in the mud, and explain why.
And also if you want to look at flops of the season, by the way, Boovy, someone that has come in for a lot of money and has done fuck all, that would be Calvin Phillips. So when you talk about a player underachieving, there you go. Look no further than your own defensive midfielder.
Thank you. Billy Simo has been a member of the Academy for 11 months, says, we overpaid for Anthony because of the United tax, something City won't understand because they're not a big club. Truth bombs. Sam Z says, the Qatar deal is the ultimate Faustian bargain. Not looking forward to United being owned by that corrosive regime.
Hey, here's one, Jay. Me and you definitely know what Faustian bargain means, don't we?
That's when you make a deal with the devil in it.
Big time.
Yeah, I thought so.
So hard. William Wilberforce over here.
Oh, what? So black people can't read books? That's what you're saying? Oh, we're not allowed to be educated because we're so thick.
I'm not part of this show. This is a bit where Jay does something and it's nothing to do with me.
Can I just reiterate for anyone who's confused? That wasn't what Josie Smith was saying whatsoever. I just made that up for comedic purposes.
And I just wanted to say William Wilberforce.
Do you know what? So good to have you back.
Thank you.
It really is. Steve just doesn't say William Wilberforce at all. Right.
Despite his consistent prompts. Right, should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Here's something.
What's next for us?
Goalkeepers.
Are you causing a bit of a storm? You and McCullough on socials.
Why?
Using facts and statistics to talk about David De Gea. Caused the right debate going on the replies. Everyone was going back and forth over it.
The thing with De Gea is it does pain me to say it because I love him. I think he's a great. a great goalkeeper. He's been fantastic. If we'd have been better at different times, he could easily have had 4 or 5 Premier Leagues and probably deserved them because
from
he's been
2014. Well, 2014 to 2018. Yeah,
he was. I think
he's 5 times in the Premier League team of the year, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player, and he's been one of the best goalkeepers of the recent sort of post-Fergie era, the last decade. He's been right up there. But he's not that keeper anymore.
No.
And we've had 4 or 5 years to see that. Since the 2018 World Cup, there's been a notable and consistent decline in a lot of what David De Gea does. And now he's being asked to do something completely different again, which is reinvent himself as a passing goalkeeper. And he's trying and he's improving, but he's not improving to the point where he's better than people who find that sort of thing more natural. No. And I don't think that's unfair to say, and I don't think it's even particularly harsh to say that. There's been plenty of players in United's history who don't suit a system or who are past their best. And unfortunately, if you're the manager, you have to see that and replace it before it starts costing you too many games. And obviously here, a new goalkeeper target. I think this is Rob Dawson from ESPN, obviously friend of the channel. He said that Brentford's David Raya and Porto's Diogo Costa are among United's targets. Contracts talks with current first choice David De Gea are ongoing. United are keen to agree on a deal on basic wage, on a reduced basic wage, crucially, but including significant bonuses depending on the number of appearances made by the Spaniard, whose current contract is set to expire in June. In addition, Spurs are interested in signing Dean Henderson in the summer if the Red Devils decide to let him leave.
Just on that, we had Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic on Monday, or was it Monday? I think it was Monday. And he was sort of talking about David De Gea, because he's done an article on him after the Betis game where his distribution wasn't great.
Yeah.
And he said he's got a very good relationship with Ten Hag. You see, after the game, Ten Hag sort of spoke about he needs to be better in his distribution, but he also went straight to him after the game and was sort of having a friendly chat, with his arm around him. Also, you saw the best of David De Gea in the Fulham game, making some great saves, keeping us in that game.
One save in particular, the one that the one where he dives late and palms it away, I thought was a very good save.
Yeah.
But that one, the fingertip one onto the post, that was a world-class save. That was brilliant. I thought that was the better of the two.
Yeah.
So, he's obviously still got that.
Still got that, but you can't ignore, and Eric Ten Hag has mentioned about distribution. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because a big part of this might be David De Gea, because, well, it is obviously a big part, but it might be what he decides to do, because when you're saying to him, right, can we give you a reduced wage, and a lot of your bonuses are dependent on appearances, and we bring in another goalkeeper, then you might look at it and go, well, they've brought in another keeper, my wages now depend on appearances, which I'm not going to get, because you've got in Raya or Costa, so I don't fancy that, because he's 31 and he's 32, so he might look at it and go, I could get a big deal going somewhere else.
Well, that's the thing. If he's going to, let's say, half his wages, let's say he goes down to 175 grand a week or 150 grand a week, he might be able to get that somewhere else and be first choice.
He might be. He might be able to get quite high again.
Yeah, he could get 150 grand a week at, I don't know who their goalkeeper is, but Sevilla or
Spurs,
maybe even Spurs. There are Champions League clubs. There are Champions League clubs who could do with a goalkeeper like him, and on those reduced wages that he's willing to accept anyway. Why not go and be a first choice somewhere else for most of the same money?
Out of these two, David Raya and Diogo Costa, who do you fancy? Who would you, if you had to choose?
If I'm picking, I'm going with Raya.
Are they better? Would you think Raya? Sorry to give you another question on top of that. Out of the three, Raya, Costa, and De Gea, who would you fancy? If you had to,
Raya.
Yeah,
I think that again, I know it's a bit harsh, and it's something that's been said a lot, but Raya gets picked over De Gea for the Spain team.
Yeah,
and Spain don't play quite the same way as United, but in terms of wanting a keeper that can pass it out, that's something that they're interested in, and they go with him over our guy. Which to me sort of says plenty there.
I like Raya.
Yeah, me too.
I've not seen a lot of Costa, and I've been at times a little bit underwhelmed when I've seen him.
I think in some of the bigger games, where a British fan might be more likely to watch him in the Champions League.
Basic.
He's kind of had underwhelming games. The thing with him is he's very good. Yeah, and he's young and he's improving. But I think he'll cost you loads of money.
Also,
I think Raya's he's got 1 year left on his deal. I think you might get him for 15, 20
and
million.
And then that can help save some money towards other players.
Yeah.
Also, as well, he might be great in a couple of years or 3 years or whatever. Want someone now.
Yeah.
So whether that's De Gea or Raya, I think we need someone who can come in next season. Because I think next season could be a big season for United.
Yeah,
I think that's a title challenging season. So I don't want a keeper who's learning on the job. No. We'll get in some comments and then we'll move on. People saying Just people talking about Qatar. You saying tonight I feel Qatar. The Kid McFly says De Gea over both. Brian Casey said, if De Gea goes, I think we should go for Diogo Costa. Glenn F says, so have the Glazers sold? Not that I'm aware of.
We'll get into the,
Alex Paymer, soccer training. Yeah, soccer training coaching says, knowing Eric Ten Hag, he'll stay with De Gea. Mark my words. James Hill says, we are on about transfers. If Glazers don't leave, there might be a shock in store. Yep, okay, let's move on. Don't forget as well to hit that like button. We've got almost 3,000 people watching.
Yep.
Only 270 likes. Let's get to 500 likes. Come on, smash a like, as the kids say, if you're watching this video. Right, what's next on the agenda?
Ratcliffe bids. His bid is over £5 billion.
Mad, right? 3 months ago, people were bending over backwards for this dude. I remember I did a live when he did like a Q&A at Ineos. And everyone was in the comments like, we need Ratcliffe, get Ratcliffe in. Yeah. But now there's Qatar as well. Most people online, at least, seem to be favouring Qatar because they're looking at going, you're going to have more money. But go on, I'll let you talk us through this.
Yeah, Jim Ratcliffe's revised offer is thought to be more than £5 billion, including the debt to buy Manchester United. The increased bid comes as Ratcliffe, the founder of Ineos Chemicals Empire, goes up against Qatari Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani for the takeover of the most successful English football club. Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim have now submitted their proposals to the Glazer family ahead of today's 9 p.m. UK deadline, according to people with the knowledge of the matter. Now, that's Financial Times, a publication that doesn't really F about when it comes to money and purchases of businesses. So I would trust that £5 billion fee is relatively reliable. It's a lot of money, and it's the sort of money that we heard all those weeks ago that the Glazers wanted. That was one of the sort of the lower end of what it seemed like it would genuinely take for them to sell, didn't it? Yeah. It was talking between 5 and 6 billion seemed to be the numbers that were talked about a lot. Up until now, the bids have been rumoured in the sort of 4.5 region, 4.5 and 4.6, I think, were the two numbers that were widely circulated. Now we're looking at more than 5. We're getting into the arena where I think this is going to happen at some point. The deadline for those bids, like we said, has closed. Hit the graphic! Ethan, come on! Deadline closed!
Yes!
Look at that. But, yeah, we now sort of have to be in that sort of limbo where we're waiting for what does that mean? Who, if people dropped out, there's rumours of a potential another or sort of a total of 8 bids coming in, a mixture of part investment, part ownership, and full takeovers. We're in that kind of no man's land where we've been for about a month now, where we know who wants it, we know that they're still in for it, but we don't know who the Glazers prefer. There's been no sort of mention, no sniff whatsoever of who the Glazers would rather sell to. We're just kind of waiting, which is a bit of a tricky position to be in, isn't it?
It is a little bit of a tricky position to be in. It does look like this is the end game for the Glazers. I had this on the news on Monday that there was, they are going to sell, which is one thing I think all United fans can agree on, is that we want them gone. It'll just be interesting to see who the next owners are. Matthew Coward says, Jay, do you call every person that's younger than you kid? Heard you call a 31-year-old Casemiro kid the other week. Yeah, he's 12 years younger than me. So he's a kid. Martin Darcy says, Jay, oranges and duck sauce once were sold. That's a super chat.
I love that.
Is that a reference to Sloppy Joe's?
Sounds like the opening of a Smiths song, doesn't it?
Jay, oranges and duck sauce once were sold.
You know what I mean? So, I've got a proposition for you. I've got another one of my radical opinions.
Radical proposition. Can we have the graphic? Radical proposition graphic.
We ain't got one.
You haven't got one? Why?
Flip's sake. Do you know that you're producing some radical boys?
Why have you not made a graphic as soon as you said it that's ready to go now?
Do you know people knock Ratcliffe for...
Radders, as he likes to be called.
Radders. For his bid not being for 100% or not talking about owning 100% of the club like the Qatari bid does.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I don't care at all. Because the amount that the Glazers are selling is enough to have full control of the club, as we've seen from the Glazers over the last 18 years, that they're selling the full works. Do you know what I mean? You're not missing out on anything. Yeah. And also, even the Qatari bid, they're only bidding to buy what the Glazers are selling right now. Yeah. The rest, I think they would have to do it maybe like a mandatory compulsory purchase order again on the stuff that's on the stock market. But do you know what? In an ideal world, Jay, I wouldn't mind a portion of Man United being available to the public. At the minute, I don't want to support it. I don't want to own shares in Man United and help, boost the numbers for the Glazers. But if we had an owner that liked the club, that was working in the club's interest, that was successful, I'd like to own a few shares of Man United.
Yeah.
I'd like that to be something where I can say, it don't count for anything, but look at this. I've got 10 shares in Man United. That would mean something to me.
Yeah,
so I don't mind that Jim Ratcliffe might want to leave a bit on the stock market, because in the future that could be me as a way to associate even further with the club that I love. My dad used to have shares in the club. Years ago when they would give them out and you could buy them when it actually felt like they meant something before they were all bought up by the Glazers. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that again.
I remember I had a really good chat with Ian Sterling, God rest him, about that. Yeah.
When
we won the treble, he owned a bit of that.
That's what I mean.
He owned a bit of that.
Exactly.
You own a bit of the treble winning.
If the Qataris come in and buy 100% of it, you can't own any of it.
No.
And the 69% that Radcliffe seems to be going after, like I said, is still enough to control every decision at Manchester United. Yeah. He would be in full charge of everything. The only thing that you're losing really is that kind of the show, the gesture of 100% ownership. But save a little bit for me, because I won't mind owning 20 quid's worth. Do you know what I mean?
Should we put 2?
Yeah, go on.
Yes. Look, we'll wait and see what happens, but no, I get where you're coming from completely. Jimmy F, who's been a member of the Academy for 26 months, says, I heard there could be a last-minute bid from Japanese billionaire tycoon.
Be careful here, because this feels like a trap.
It is.
Let me read that. Let's see if we can read that out.
Yeah, I can read it out. Eric Shun. Any news on this? So that's obviously erection.
Oh. Right? I thought it was like Christian Eriksen in midfield.
No, it's erection. It's erection.
Yeah, like a knob and that.
Yeah, like, a willy that's excited.
Yeah. Here's one for you then.
Go on.
I heard there might be a last-minute bid from Hard Cock. So... Is that the joke?
I thought you were going to say, I don't know, dick something, but hard cock.
Can move on.
I think we should. Yeah, loads of people just saying different things. I don't know who's telling the truth here. What's going on? Gary Lovell says Sky Sports said neither have put a new bid in. What, is that true? I thought they had. Ali Mack says Jay's ability to crucify names is top tier. Yeah. We have OER. Liam says we have a last minute bid.
Go on. Be careful.
From, I don't know. What's that? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Michael Hawke.
Read the full thing.
We have a last minute bid from Sir Michael Hawke. Is that rude?
I can't work out how that's rude.
If it was Mike Hunt, I get it.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
No.
What? Mike Hawke. Oh, my cock. My cock. Right. My cock. We got a last minute bid.
Most YouTube channels fall for these traps, whereas we get sent things that aren't traps and turn them into sexual references as part of our sort of ongoing mission to make ourselves look stupid. I've never seen this before. We're the ones that are coming up with them, not even the viewers.
Ahmad Mahmood says, I'm going to Manchester for a solo trip. I want to go to a game in April. Good lad. Anything else you want to talk about? Oh, what's this?
Here we go. There has been an estimated 5 to 8 bids, which we kind of mentioned before.
5 bids? That's insane.
Yeah, not all of those bids are for the club outright, with at least half of them, this is what they were saying on Sky before, expected to be from those interested in owning a minority stake, or those who are willing to provide financing options for other parties. Other known bidders, aside from Ratcliffe and Altana, which is obviously worth mentioning, so far include Elliott Management, Weil Aries, is that correct? Weil Aries, MSD Partners, and Oak Tree Capital. Oak Tree Capital sounds very American. I don't know if it is, but it just sounds like it, doesn't it? They're also said to be interested. There is no guarantee that the Glazer family will sell United. We keep having to hear this. And they may decide to sell a minority stake. I don't believe that they will decide to sell a minority stake.
Right. There is breaking news on Sky. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore that. I was listening to you. This is breaking. Neither Sheikh Jassim or Sir Jim Ratcliffe have submitted bids for Manchester United before the 9 p.m. deadline. That's confusing. Heath, do you have a look at that? It's on Sky Sports News Twitter. Listen to it, because I can't listen to it whilst I'm on air. And find out what exactly the 411 is there.
What does that mean?
Because that's contradictory to what was said 45 minutes ago.
45 minutes ago, it says, breaking the deadline for the second round of bidding for Manchester United has passed. Sheikh Jassim believes he has made the best bid, in quotes.
Now, does that mean from the previous round of bidding that he thought his bid was best and he's not bothered with another one? Or does that mean he's done a second bid, which he believes is the best? But if neither him or Sir Jim Ratcliffe have bid again, that seems contradictory to Sir Jim Ratcliffe saying that he would be willing to get rid of the debt, which was a story that was broke earlier today. So I'm a little bit confused there, because if neither of them has put a second bid in, then if the Glazers are going to sell,
that leave us?
then I think that, well, I think Sheikh Jassim's was the originally the biggest bid. So nothing's been received. So they've not put a second bid in.
Huh.
Neither. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim haven't put bids in before the 9 p.m. deadline, which is really strange. Where does that leave us then?
Don't know.
Does that mean the Glazers go back to their original bids and go, okay, we'll have to look at these two bids. Which one do we prefer? Which I think Sheikh Jassim's was the highest.
Supposedly 4.6 to 4.5.
Do the Glazers, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but do they look at it and go, well, we don't sell because we've not got the price we want? But if they've not submitted bids, and let's not forget, this isn't a last-minute deadline that was announced on them this morning.
No.
They've known about this deadline. They've looked at the books at United, and an interesting thing, go on. Both of them have asked for an extension.
Is that according to Sky? Apparently Sky are saying that Sheikh Jassim has asked for an extension to the 9 p.m. deadline.
Just Sheikh Jassim, what about Sir Jim? Yeah. Okay. It seems very strange that for them not to submit bids when they've both been making massive noises. Now, you don't know. They might, because they've had, when they made the first bids, that gave them access to the books at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
To the books at Old Trafford. To the financials.
Yeah. Let's see what we're bidding for here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they might have looked at it.
You can't sell someone something that you're not laying out what it is. Yeah.
Jesus wept. This is an absolute horror show.
That would be a trading standards issue, I believe.
Yeah. So we're not going to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. People, I mean, again, people get involved in the chat in the comments because I've just seen that and I can't listen to it. Ethan's looking at it for us, but it does seem a little bit confusing. Sorry. It says both. Gary Lovell says both have asked for an extension that's been granted apparently.
Wow.
Well, okay.
That's weird though, isn't it? How much more do you need? It's like, do you know when you have a essay in it at college or whatever, and you're like, on April the 1st you get given the essay, and you go, the deadline is the 29th of May. Yeah. And then at 2 p.m. for a 4 p.m. deadline on the 29th of May when you've had 6 weeks, you go, can I have another 2 days?
Yeah.
You think, well, what have you been doing for the last 6 weeks? Like, I know it's not been 6 weeks, but they've had multiple days, you know. When was the first bids put in? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. It doesn't...
Interesting.
I mean, for a sale of this size, though, I suppose it's not that ridiculous that they need a little bit more time.
Maybe not, but...
Do you know what I mean? It just seems odd that both of them asked for extension as well.
Do you think they're chatting to each other behind the scenes?
That would be fascinating if that happened, wouldn't
Imagine it was a joint bid.
Where does that leave us?
I don't know. I can't imagine...
I don't know if that works,
no,
because
I don't think it does.
Jay Jassim wants full control.
Yeah.
He's not... And
yeah, Radcliffe would very much be the Nick Clegg of that agreement, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be the Nick Clegg.
No.
So Sheikh Jassim's David Cameron.
Yeah.
That's not happening, is it?
No.
Hey, so we'll see what happens anyway.
Really strange that. That 9 p.m. deadline has passed and no bids have been added by Jassim or Radcliffe.
James Kellen, the only good thing about that is I hope the Glazers are screwing now. I'm worried. James Kellen says, who's been a member of the first team for 30 months, says probably a paperwork issue. They probably need an extension to finish getting legal stuff done. I'd imagines.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Glenn F says the Glazers aren't selling. When are we going to wake up? Ryan R says, how does a bid work? Surely it's complicated. No.
Yeah, and it is worth mentioning that in the world of football, there has been one multi-billion-pound purchase of a football club. One.
Yeah.
Chelsea is the only one ever. The other one that you compare it to is the Denver Broncos that were 3.75 billion. That's the biggest sporting franchise, sporting club, whatever you want to call it, that has ever been purchased. But in terms of soccer, football, Chelsea's the only one even remotely close. I think the second highest was, I don't even know, a few 100 million.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking in orders of magnitude, 10 times more than we've seen in the past for Manchester United, other than the Chelsea bid. This is relatively uncharted territory as well.
Can I just say as well, Fabrizio Romano
has
said the opposite. He said, Manchester United sale, Sheikh Jassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe bids are in. Sheikh Jassim remains fully engaged and confident in his bid. Next steps are up to Manchester United owners. The Glazer family understand both parties don't expect an immediate response. So he's saying bids are in.
But that was 55 minutes ago, wasn't it, before these updates? Is he tweeted anything since then?
But that was still after the deadline.
No, of course, yeah.
So if they've not...
He seems to have had some info there. Because at first when
that's his Twin Peaks pinned tweet.
At first, because he says there, the bids are in, that could have almost been written as like just a generic thing because the deadline has passed. But at the end, he says neither party expects an immediate response. That suggests that he's spoken to them post-bid, which obviously...
Also, as well, he tweeted 57 minutes ago, which again is still after the 9 p.m. deadline. So Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos Group has also sent new bids to Manchester United. The official amount remains secret after NDA document was signed. Same for Qatari Group. Ratcliffe insists on his project to buy Man United and held with long-term plan.
The only thing I could think is maybe they've asked for a 2-hour extension. Maybe it's all in, all the stuff is in. They've handed in a bid, but it's not officially been put in because actually we've got a few I's and T's still to dot and cross. Maybe it's that. But if we're looking at a 3 or 4 day or a week deadline extension, then clearly that hasn't happened, has it? So there seems to be some confusion. But Sky have gone pretty big, and Kaveh Solokol, who's been, I would say, very much at the front line of reporting on this over the last... It's like he's made it his mission for him to be the Glazer guy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's done a very good job on it. He's the one who is saying that no extra bids have been made. So,
Also, just
surprising.
For the sake of balance as well, Romano tweeted just before the Ratcliffe tweet, Sheikh Jassim Al Thani has submitted a new bid for Manchester United as expected. Al Thani's group remain fully confident as they consider their bid to be the best one for Man United, with 100% ownership and investments in stadium facilities, first team and academy. So both bids are in. We've reached 500 likes. I think that's a good place for us to wrap up, Mr. Smith.
We might have some exciting news on our hands.
Romano's saying bids are in, Sky is saying they're not. There might be a few more twists in this tale, but we'll keep you posted as always. We're back in the morning with the news, we'll have podcasts as well, all that good stuff tomorrow. Good to have you back, brother.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Now. Yeah. Get you back. Get you sat down here doing content.
Putting new bids in myself.
Yeah, why not? Make sure you go and check out Last Man Standing with Bet Vitson. There's a link in the description. Big thanks to them for sponsoring the podcast. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Instagram and Twitter, and on the Sloppy Joe's podcast.
The Sloppy Joe's podcast. Very funny. You can also find producer Ethan on there when he's not busy forgetting the camera on a Monday morning. I've been Jay Motty, you know where to find me. That's been Joe Smith. This has been Paddock Live. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.